After Sean Strickland went on his very public charge, loudly campaigning and practically daring Khamzat Chimaev to meet him in the cage, everyone braced for an explosion online. Fans expected fire, insults, chaos, a digital war before the real one. But what did Khamzat do? Nothing. No back and forth. No fiery rebuttal. No viral rant. Instead, almost eerily, footage began leaking out from the shadows. Him in the gym, drenched in sweat, jaw clenched, grinding through brutal rounds like a man already at war. No captions, no noise, just violence in motion. The silence was louder than any tweet could ever be. And that's when the whispers started to talk of a massive White House card, a spectacle big enough to shake the sport. The rumors spread fast, each clip adding fuel, each rep hinting that something enormous was already in motion behind closed doors. While Strickland talked, Khamzat prepared like contracts were signed and the date circled in blood. No hesitation, no theatrics, just the cold certainty of someone who knows what's coming. From his side, there's been almost nothing verbal, and somehow that makes it heavier. Because when a fighter doesn't argue, when he simply sharpens his weapons in silence, it doesn't feel like a possibility anymore. It feels inevitable.
I mean, he works his ass off. The guy can fight. He's a world champion, but just because you can fight and just because, like, it doesn't really mean, like, doesn't make you like a man, and there's these moments when, like, you see kind of like past, hey, I could fight, he works his ass off, like Costa. It just, I don't know.
The only way Khamzat Chimaev plans to answer Sean Strickland and his non-stop taunts, the jabs, the smirks, even branding him soft isn't with noise, it's with inevitability. No long rants, no emotional spirals, just a cold, direct message wrapped in steel. Khamzat didn't dance around it. He sent a clear warning and told Strickland to be patient, to sit tight, to wait while his frustrating visa issues get untangled. Because once that barrier drops, the talking phase dies instantly. He made it known they won't communicate through interviews or social media threads, they'll settle it the only way two elite killers should, locked inside the octagon, fists translating every insult into impact. There was something unsettling about how calmly he said it, like the outcome was already written and he was simply waiting for the cage door to close. No desperation, no excuses, just a promise deferred. While Strickland keeps the spotlight warm with constant callouts, Khamzat stands in the shadows, sharpening intention into something dangerous. The delay doesn't feel like avoidance, it feels like a fuse burning slowly towards something explosive. And when it finally happens, there won't be tweets or clever lines to hide behind. Just pressure, just violence, just two men forced to explain themselves in the rawest language possible, knuckles against bone, breath against exhaustion, pride against survival. That's not hype, that's a collision waiting for clearance.
That extreme couture with Sean Strickland, he's been saying some stuff in interviews about, he just didn't like your approach. Just why do you think he's saying that, and do you have a response?
I don't know, when I was there they never said anything, When I leave the Vegas and when they stop my visa, he start to talk. When I come back, I'm in LA, bro. Come on. If it's something personal for you, just come. I'm here whenever you want.
He revealed he spent an entire day locked in thought before speaking, weighing every angle, making sure he wasn't unknowingly pushing someone else's agenda or serving hidden interests. Chael Sonnen made it clear this wasn't impulse, it was calculated restraint. Then he shifted the tone. He described what happens when Khamzat Chimaev walks into a room full of fighters. Conversations dip, eyes follow, energy changes. Not because he's loud, but because he doesn't have to be. According to Sonnen, there's something almost oppressive about the aura, something heavy that demands acknowledgement whether you want to give it or not. And then came the twist. He pulled up older comments from Sean Strickland about their time training together, words that now land differently. Strickland had once claimed that in the gym he hunts the wolves, always chasing the hardest rounds, deliberately throwing himself into the fire. In that same breath, he painted Khamzat as the opposite, a man supposedly looking for easier work, smoother rounds, less resistance. It wasn't casual banter, it was a quiet accusation wrapped as gym talk. Coming from someone known for embracing chaos and priding himself on durability, the implication cut deep. Because questioning a fighter's appetite for suffering isn't small talk, it's an attack on identity. And now those old statements resurface with sharper edges, turning past gym sessions into loaded evidence and transforming routine sparring stories into something that feels far more personal.
I must fight Sean Strickland next. Guys, there's no debate. And I had 24 hours to think about this. Because here's what I don't want to do. I gotta tell you, as an authority figure in this sport, I don't want to pan Imanov. I don't want to do that. I respect him. I respect what he's done. I respect his patience. But Sean Strickland fought him in head-to-head competition. Now, a couple of things came out. I am behind the scenes, and I can tell you, guys tiptoe around Chimaev. Guys are scared of Chimaev. He has a presence. Sean Strickland said, man, I used to be in the gym with this guy. He's a punk. Ask the people that were there. Sean Strickland said, when I come into a gym, I go find the biggest, baddest dude, and that's who I spar with. When Chimaev comes in the gym, he finds the easiest opponent, takes him in the corner and beats.
But Chael Sonnen wasn't finished. He widened the lens, dragging the conversation beyond trash talk and into consequence. This wasn't just about hype, it was about legacy. Chael spoke firmly, almost sharply. When you examine a fighter's rise, the grind, the risks taken, the pivotal battles survived, dismissing that man isn't a minor slight. It's a ripple effect. You're not only questioning him, you're quietly discrediting every opponent he defeated, every obstacle he bled through to stand where he stands. He pointed toward the brutal reality of extended winning streaks inside the Ultimate Fighting Championship, emphasizing how rare and punishing it is in this unforgiving sport to stack victory upon victory without collapse. There are no easy nights, no safe climbs. Every step costs something. And that was his central warning. When an athlete headlines a card, gambles his reputation, puts something truly meaningful on the line, and emerges victorious, that result cannot be treated like background noise. It must carry weight. It has to open doors. In this moment, that spotlight falls on Sean Strickland. He stepped into his last fight with everything at stake. He risked position, relevance, leverage, and he won. Clean, clear, undeniable. Sonnen's argument wasn't emotional, it was structural. If wins at that level don't translate into opportunity, then the ladder itself becomes meaningless. And because of that emphatic performance, Chael insists there's only one logical conclusion. Strickland hasn't just earned the conversation, he's owed the confrontation that comes next.
Disrespected everything that Fluffy Hernandez did. Fluffy Hernandez beat 9 men in a row. If Fluffy Hernandez beat Sean Strickland, that would be 10 in a row. 10 is the biggest number in the history of the UFC that anybody's had to do to get a title shot, and that distinction belongs to Merab. But to remind you, Merab was offered a title fight after 7. So the point that I'm making, if Fluffy Hernandez would have won and he would have gotten a title, we're being very disrespectful to the 9 men that Fluffy beat. We're being very disrespectful to the opportunity that Fluffy should have had. And when you play this game, it's the ultimate poker hand. You're all in. Whatever you got is on the line. You got a belt, it's on the line. It doesn't matter if you're undefeated and this guy's lost 5 fights. It doesn't matter if you're ranked number 1 and he's ranked number 8. When you get in there, it's all on the line, winner take all. Sean Strickland took it. Sean Strickland must.
When it comes to bold takes, Michael Bisping never whispers, and on a potential clash between Sean Strickland and Khamzat Chimaev, he didn't hesitate for a second. He's all in. But it's what he revealed next that shifted the temperature. Bisping shared that he recently spoke directly with Khamzat, a private conversation that carried a startling detail. According to him, Chimaev is currently walking around at a staggering 240 pounds. That number doesn't just raise eyebrows, it detonates them. For a fighter who primarily operates in far lighter divisions, carrying that kind of mass isn't a minor fluctuation. It's a looming storm. Cutting down from that weight isn't simply uncomfortable, it's a brutal physiological war that taxes organs, drains endurance, and chips away at durability before a single punch is thrown. Bisping emphasized how dramatic that gap truly is, underscoring that extreme weight cuts aren't just about discipline, they're punishing trials that can quietly reshape a fighter's performance. The body keeps score. And while he confirmed that Khamzat sounded confident, even composed, the implication lingered in the air. Shedding that much weight in time for a high-stakes showdown is a dangerous gamble. Confidence doesn't make the scale lighter. If the fight materializes, a real battle may begin long before the cage door locks. On the scale, in the sauna, in the silent suffering no crowd ever sees.
Isn't out of shape. In fact, he's currently training incredibly.
Out in California, he's reportedly looking sharp, focused, dangerous, but there's a complication simmering beneath the surface. No definitive championship bout has been scheduled for Khamzat Chimaev just yet. He holds the crown, but the next challenger remains a question mark, and that uncertainty changes everything. According to Michael Bisping, this is exactly where discipline must override ambition. Bisping's stance is firm. The priority cannot drift. When you're the champion, your first obligation is to defend the belt strapped around your waist, not to flirt with the chaos of another division. Moving up in weight might sound bold, even historic, but it risks igniting instability in an already volatile middleweight landscape within the Ultimate Fighting Championship. A champion chasing new territory while contenders wait in limbo creates tension, fractures momentum, and muddies the hierarchy. Bisping made it clear, greatness isn't just about collecting opportunities, it's about protecting what you've earned. The belt isn't a souvenir, it's a responsibility. And until a clear contender steps forward and that contract is signed, any talk of jumping divisions feels premature, even reckless. The division needs order. The champion needs focus. Because the moment attention splits, so does dominance, and in this sport, hesitation is the crack opponents are waiting to exploit.
I want to say, I was with Khamzat last week on the Jackson podcast, and Khamzat Chimaev told me that he is 240 pounds, right? What do you weigh right now, Khamzat? What do you weigh? Come on!
You can keep it a secret if you want.
That is gigantic. That is a good weight for a heavyweight, let alone a middleweight that fights at 185 pounds, 84 kilos. That will be a 55-pound weight cut that he has to go through. And by the way, he didn't look fat. He looked to be in really good shape, and he's down there in Newport Beach, California, training, running on the beach every single day. The man is working out hard, but there's no talks of a title fight. In fact, I asked him, who will you be fighting? And he said, brother, I don't know.
Michael Bisping then delved into the thorny landscape surrounding Sean Strickland and the division's elite, spotlighting the sharp threat posed by someone like Nazarene Imov. He acknowledged without hesitation that Imov is explosively fast, brutally dangerous, and a legitimate menace to anyone in the middleweight ranks. Yet Bisping immediately circled back to a crucial point. Strickland has already faced Imov and emerged victorious. That fact alone reframes the hierarchy, forcing the question, who truly has the stronger claim to contention? Bisping layered the argument further, noting that Strickland isn't riding on a fleeting win. He carries a major victory, a streak that solidifies momentum, and he also has the weight of being a former title holder, giving his resume undeniable substance. The contrast sharpened the stakes, emphasizing that claims aren't just about raw talent, but proven performance under pressure. And throughout the analysis, Bisping returned repeatedly to his foundational premise, the thread tying every observation together. Khamzat Chimaev must square off with one of the globe's elite middleweights, no exceptions, no shortcuts. And if the goal is legitimacy, attention, and satisfying the audience's appetite for high-stakes drama, the Strickland matchup checks every box. The tension between these two isn't manufactured, it's visceral, undeniable, and escalating with each passing day, making this confrontation precisely the clash supporters demand, a collision forged from skill, history, and unmistakable personal animosity.
There certainly is some words, and Sean Strickland has beaten him before, beaten via decision. The reality is, who deserves it more? I don't know. Sean's only on a 1-fight win streak, but he is a former champion. Imavov hasn't done that, right? The reality is, Chimaev has got to fight one of them. I know he's talking about going up to 205, or he's thinking about going up to 205, and making 185 from 240 pounds will be very hard, okay? But I would love to see him in there with Strickland, certainly when he says that he choked him out multiple times, and his lightweight training partner choked him out a bunch of times. And then you've got Strickland calling him a Chechen, and all this type of stuff, right? Talking a lot of shit, talking a lot of smack, not afraid to poke the bear, shall we say, right? That fight's got to happen. I want to see it. You want to see it. The whole world would love to see it, right? So I think he's got to stay at 180.
Robert Whittaker, a true pillar of the middleweight division, weighed in with measured intensity. When asked whether Sean Strickland should step up as Khamzat Chimaev's next adversary, Whittaker didn't immediately shut the door, a response that carried unexpected weight coming from a former champion of his stature. His tone suggested caution mixed with reluctant acknowledgement. He didn't dismiss the idea, but neither did he endorse it without reservation. The implication hung in the air like a slow fuse, signaling that while the matchup is conceivable, it's fraught with risk, strategy, and stakes that transcend mere rankings. Coming from someone who has navigated title fights and brutal divisions at the highest level, this measured pause amplifies the tension surrounding the potential clash. Whittaker's perspective alone adds legitimacy, a tacit nod that Strickland's claim isn't baseless and that Chimaev would face a serious, tested challenge. In the world of elite combat, even a hint of acknowledgement from a former champion carries gravity, and here it signals that the Strickland versus Chimaev conversation is no longer hypothetical chatter, it's a possibility the sport's most seasoned figures are now forced to seriously consider.
Caliber. That's a significant endorsement.
Robert Whittaker believes that Sean Strickland currently holds a solid and credible case for such a high-stakes confrontation, particularly in light of his claimed victory over Nazarene Imov and, more pointedly, the decisive manner in which he finished Fluffy in his most recent outing. These performances aren't just wins on paper, they're moments that demand attention, exercises in dominance that command respect and recognition across the division. Yet Whittaker also acknowledges the harsher reality of the Ultimate Fighting Championship's championship landscape. It is often volatile, unpredictable, almost like a lottery, where outcomes aren't always dictated solely by skill, merit, or record. Luck, timing, and circumstance frequently sway opportunities in ways that frustrate even the most consistent performers. Still, even accounting for that capricious backdrop, when evaluating Strickland's recent trajectory, his composure, tactical execution, and the decisiveness of his performances, Whittaker is confident that he has undeniably positioned himself at the very heart of contention. In his eyes, the combination of momentum, skill, and calculated aggression has elevated Strickland to a status where a matchup with a top-tier, elite opponent like Khamzat Chimaev is not only justified but increasingly inevitable, marking him as a legitimate threat that the division cannot ignore.
But is he the contender, do you think, next for the title in your mind that could potentially have the most challenge to Khamzat out of the possible contenders right now?
Oh, it's hard to say. Like, I definitely think he has an argument now, especially because he's beaten Imavov and because of the way he put away Fluffy. But honestly, it's anybody's guess. You know, it's anybody's guess. The title fights and like contenders, and that whole conversation is just so, mate.
As the conversation naturally shifted toward the gritty mechanics of a potential showdown, the actual way the fight might play out inside the cage, Robert Whittaker remained steadfast in his assessment. He openly acknowledged that Sean Strickland possesses an exceptionally strong takedown defense, a skill that gives him a significant edge against most opponents in the division. Yet Whittaker was unambiguous when drawing the line. Grappling with Khamzat Chimaev exists on a completely different plane, a challenge unlike anything Strickland has faced. This is no theoretical warning, it comes from first-hand, intimate experience. Whittaker himself has shared the cage with Chimaev, enduring the relentless pressure, the suffocating control, and the punishing precision that define Khamzat's ground game. He vividly recounted the way Chimaev systematically dismantled his positions, leaving no space to breathe, no moment to recover, a graphic, almost unsettling testament to supreme mastery. Whittaker emphasized that this is a caliber of grappling and physical domination unlike any Strickland has previously encountered, a type of bodily duress so intense it tests not just skill but willpower and resilience. It isn't a matter of theory or speculation, it's a direct warning from someone who has survived Khamzat's arsenal, a reminder that stepping into the cage with him would push even an elite fighter like Strickland into entirely uncharted territory, a crucible of skill and stamina that few in the world could truly endure.
You've been in there with Khamzat, man, and Sean Strickland's taking defense is pretty good, but we haven't seen him in there against, like, would you say Fluffy and Khamzat, it's two different levels when it comes to the grappling, would you say, like in terms of the way, the strength, and yeah.
Absolute night and day. Like, having been in there with Chimaev and seen, and everyone who saw what he did to dricus, like, there's not, mate, like, it's not the same. It is not the same.
James Lynch, a well-regarded voice in the MMA community, has consistently argued from the very beginning that the next pivotal middleweight showdown must feature Khamzat Chimaev versus Sean Strickland. He highlighted Strickland's utterly dominant knockout over Anthony Hernandez, framing that victory as a decisive inflection point in the current divisional landscape. Lynch underscored that Strickland effectively ended a grueling 8-fight winless stretch, orchestrating an impressive resurgence that gained even more weight by occurring in a high-stakes headliner, dramatically elevating his relevance and visibility. Crucially, Lynch pointed out, Chimaev presently has no fights on his schedule, leaving his championship status suspended in uncertainty. In contrast, Strickland acted decisively, immediately issuing a challenge after his emphatic triumph, signaling urgency and intent. With no clear contender positioned to face the 185-pound champion, the stage appears primed, all conditions aligned to favor a high-profile clash between these two elite athletes. Lynch's perspective frames it not as speculation, but as a logical next step dictated by timing, performance, and the current void in the middleweight hierarchy, reinforcing the notion that the Strickland-Chimaev matchup is not merely desirable but practically inevitable given the present circumstances.
Strickland should be the next middleweight title shot in the division, and I'm going to tell you why in today's video. My name is James Lynch. So Sean Strickland getting a huge win last weekend at UFC Houston in the main event, taking out Anthony Fluffy Hernandez by knockout. It was a picture-perfect performance here from Strickland, getting the third-round finish, stopping Hernandez and his 8-fight win streak, and solidified himself as a contender in the weight class. And right now, at the time we're talking, there is not a fight booked yet for Khamzat Chimaev. There's been a couple rumors out there, but you heard Strickland after his fight with Fluffy Hernandez. We'll play a little snippet of it here. He talks about what he wants next when Michael Bisping asks him, and Strickland doesn't hesitate, talks about Chimaev. We're going to watch that clip here real quick.
Next, Sean. I don't know, man. Chimaev finally gets off the bench, dude. I'd like a piece of that little Chechen. But you never know with him, bro.
Yeah, so you can see there, he wants this fight. And then to go even further, Strickland at his media scrum before, of course, he was cut off, which I'm not a fan of, talks about how he made Chimaev quit in training. Now, I'm not usually a fan of fighters revealing things in the gym. I think that's bad practice, but this is only...
James Lynch then pivoted to the tantalizing scenario of Khamzat Chimaev. Following Lynch's pointed reasoning, Brendan Shaw reinforced the urgency, asserting without reservation that the UFC must immediately book the Strickland versus Chimaev matchup. He dismissed any notion of giving a move a title shot, citing Strickland's prior victory over him, and emphasized that Strickland's star power, especially as an American fighter, is crucial for pay-per-view and fan engagement. Shaw argued that Strickland is in peak condition, virtually unscathed after the Hernandez fight, and ready to return immediately. He boldly forecasted that if Strickland defeats Chimaev, the UFC would gain an enormous American star while Chimaev continues to hold the belt, setting up a clash with undeniable narrative and built-in tension. The contrasting styles, Strickland's relentless aggression and precise jab versus Chimaev's elite grappling and raw power, promise a compelling, authentic challenge. From both athletic and commercial perspectives, the fight is perfectly logical now. Any delay risks dissipating the mounting anticipation. These two athletes are in their prime, fiercely claiming global supremacy, and there's no reason to dilute this moment with unnecessary bouts or postponements. Fans crave resolution resolution, and this matchup delivers it, testing whether Chimaev can endure Strickland's relentless pace over 5 brutal rounds, making it one of the most significant confrontations imaginable.